Hello and welcome to this special edition of Bloomberg Voices from Thailand. I'm Haslinda Amin. Billionaire and former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra has returned to the country in a bid to clear his name against corruption charges. A controversial figure, Thaksin helped steer the economy to its fastest pace of growth in a decade. But critics like Korn Chatikavanij, Deputy Secretary General of the largest opposition party in the nation, say his return will polarize the country.
And he is a divisive character. There are lots of discussions as to why it is he's picked this particular time to return when he was free to return at any time prior to this to face the corruption charges. But the fact that he has returned, I think, means that the issue related to himself is now back at the forefront. Which is unfortunate because in many ways I think Thailand has so many other challenges that needs to be tackled by the government and by society as a whole. That's not related to Thaksin. But now he's back. We have to think and talk about him again.
Are you then saying that the current government will be distracted by Thaksin's presence and perhaps distracted from the more important issues of growing the economy, getting back investor confidence?
The driving force behind the creation of the People Power Party in the first place was as Thaksin's vehicle. And at a time when the cost of living is at its highest, the economy is still not growing the way we would like to see it grow. This is a pity.
Some people say that you can't take away everything from Thaksin. He's seen as the man who drove the economy to its fastest growth in about a decade. You don't succumb to that argument.
No, I don't at all. In fact, I think it's the opposite. In many ways, the average rate of growth during Thaksin's or Thai's reign in government was about 6%. The average rate of growth for the Thai economy, you date back as long as you want, 30, 40 years, is closer to 8 or 9%. So the rate of growth was nothing spectacular from that perspective. And in fact, if you look at the key challenges facing Thailand, you would say it needs genuine economic reform. It needs significant upgrading of its infrastructure, especially on the transportation and communication side. And you need to see greater income equality within the country. You look at these three issues, and there's been no progress whatsoever during the period when Thaksin was running the country. Since the financial crisis, we haven't spent a baht on upgrading infrastructure, save for the completion of the Suvarnabhumi airport, which commenced 20 years before that. In any case, is widely acknowledged as being particularly poorly built.
One of the issues that led to his downfall is the Shin-Temasek deal. Why do you think that was such an issue that could possibly lead to the downfall of a very revered leader, in a sense, of the country?
I guess it remains to be seen whether the courts decide that he was in breach of the law or not. But the investigative agency has charged that he was. And from that perspective, from our point of view, we're willing just to wait to see what the court finally decides.
If he had paid the tax, would it have been okay?
If he had then to pay tax, I think from a social and political perspective, I think people would have been more willing to forgive and forget. The fact that he chose not to, I think, was what really rubbed people off the wrong way, because you were talking about a significant amount of money. Now, of course, during the time, there was a lot of complaints about the fact that he was selling a significant, in fact, a controlling stake in key companies involved in telecommunication to a foreign sovereign fund. Frankly, from our perspective, we've never had significant issues with that, and we were just contending that the fact that he had the shares was illegal, and he needed to own up on it. And the major problem was that he didn't just own the shares, but he's being charged with affecting policies that led to improving of concession terms, which led to the enhanced ability to generate revenue by these companies, and that translated into a much higher share price for him at the time of the sale. So he's being charged with abusing his power as Prime Minister to effectively amend state contracts with these companies in order to enhance its earnings and boost the share price. These are very significant charges.
You were cited as saying that Temasek had failed to do its due diligence. Do you maintain that view?
Clearly, I think they made a mistake. Whether it was a financial mistake or political mistake, it was a mistake. Judged by the fact that the amount of money they paid is now valued less than half of what it was. So, however you try to talk yourself out of it, the fact was it was a mistake. They, I think, did not anticipate the political backlash that was going to arise as a result of the transaction. So at the least, I think they didn't do their political due diligence sufficiently, as well actually as financial due diligence, because they're still having problems with the issue of the nominee structure they used to own the shares. The Ministry of Commerce already ruled that it was illegal. The issue is still pending with the police. Potentially, the process would be the police would file charges with the Attorney General and thus the courts. So the final results of that particular ruling may deem the entire structure to be illegal in the first place, which I think would reflect very poorly on Temasek. So I think legal due diligence also was probably left something to be desired.
All right, Korn, hang on to that thought. We're going for a short break. Bloomberg Voices will be right back.